Welcome to First Take on YouTube. Christine Williamson here with Kimberley Martin and, of course, the one and only Stephen A. Smith. Let's get to it. There has been a lot of buzz surrounding the Jets' new quarterback-wide receiver duo of that bad man Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. On Sunday, Wilson had one of the most impressive catches of the preseason thus far, and even Rodgers' former Packers teammate Davante Adams showed his respect for the pairing. So that begs the question, Kimberly, who is the best quarterback-wide receiver duo in the AFC East now?
So I'm going to say it is the ones you just talked about, Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, because when you look at Garrett Wilson's numbers from last year, this is a guy who had over 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns on 83 receptions, I believe. And you know whose quarterbacks were, Stephen A.? Do you know? They were Zach Wilson and Mike White. No shade to Mike White, because he's a dog. But you can't compare that quarterback situation to Aaron Rodgers. So when I think about Garrett Wilson, the offensive rookie of the year, teamed up with a future Hall of Famer who's now going to be throwing him passes. And I think about the fact that Garrett Wilson, his potential is about to be unlocked. And I know that the Jets have a lot of weapons, but I will leave you with this, Stephen A. Aaron Rodgers was asked about Garrett Wilson. I was standing there at his press conference in Florham Park. And he said, Davante Adams, that's my guy. He's special. But this 17 reminds me of that 17. Now, that is high praise. And I trust Aaron Rodgers to recognize talent. And we've already seen what Garrett Wilson can do.
Well, first of all, a couple of things.
You gonna tell me I'm right?
I think you're wrong.
Okay.
No surprise there. Here's the thing that kills me. They haven't played one regular season game together yet. They haven't thrown a pass. Garrett Wilson hasn't caught a pass from Aaron Rodgers yet in the regular season. Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown a pass to him in the regular season. I mean, my Lord, can they play a game together? Can they play a couple of games together, please? I mean, that's number one. Number two, my answer would be Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill. Now, let me explain something here. We all know that injuries are a part of it. On a very serious note, all joking aside, I'm very worried about Tua Tagovailoa. He should not have played last year in that game against Cincinnati where he was ultimately carted off because he was concussed against Buffalo. He was on the field prematurely in a Thursday night game to follow that Sunday game against Buffalo and Miami when he showed up in Cincinnati and nearly got damn near killed, for crying out loud. And he was concussed near the end of the season, and they didn't even find out about that concussion until a Monday. The Sunday, they let him play the game, and then it was until Monday they found out. So as far as I'm concerned, he had 3 concussions last year. I'm very, very worried about him and his future health-wise. But strictly, relying upon what we saw when he was on the field, in terms of deep throws, only Geno Smith was better. Or he had a 122.1 passer rating on deep throws. We got to take that into consideration. I'm looking at Tua on these deep throws, 27 of 50, 54% of his passes completed, 10 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions on deep throws, a 122.1 passer rating. Tyreek Hill, this brother runs about 23 miles an hour. The brother is he's cat quick. He's the cheetah. We all know this. 88 catches, tied for 8th, 1,299 yards, 4th, 7 touchdown catches, all right, tied for 11th. When we look at what Tyreek Hill brings to the table and how electrifying he could be and how his presence alone scares defenses and forces you to spread the field, these are things that Garrett Wilson has to prove. And you have to also remember this. The Jets, because it was Zach Wilson, you had people sitting up there as great as Garrett Wilson is, and I believe he's great, and I believe he's going to be great. The fact of the matter is that their defense was why they were relevant. Offensively, they were trash. We know what the Jets were because of their quarterback. We expect that to change. I wouldn't be surprised for that greatness to really, really display and show itself. But we've already seen it from Tua and Tyreek Hill. We saw Tyreek Hill prognosticate about what we were going to see once he departed from Kansas City and arrived in Miami. And then we saw Tua and him back it up when they were on the field for the 13 games that they played with one another. So I take that into consideration. And I'm saying, wait a minute now. If this brother is on the field doing what he does, I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers and what he's capable of. I'm looking at everybody and their mother knowing that Garrett Wilson is going to be his primary target. I'm looking at their ability to key on Garrett Wilson now in a way they didn't pay attention to before, because Zach Wilson was throwing the football. You didn't have much to worry about, because even with no pass rush, you were scared of what he was going to do wrong, because that's how weak and unproductive he was. That is not going to be the case with Aaron Rodgers. We'll see what happens when you're in that spotlight and you're keyed on. I'm talking about Garrett Wilson. I believe in him, but not like I believe in Tyreek Hill.
Well, it's interesting because one of the things you said was if Tua can stay healthy, the concussion situation is not a 2023 conversation. It is for the duration of his career. You don't have to tell me about how good Tua is because I was there when he threw 6 touchdowns on the Ravens defense. When I interviewed Tyreek Hill post-game, literally said Tua and his 6 touchdowns, and he said, what? My boy had how many? So I understand how good Tua is. But here's the thing. Everybody's high on the Ravens. Everybody's excited, including you, Steven. Have you seen Lamar Jackson throw a pass to Odell Beckham Jr. yet? No. Have you seen Lamar Jackson throw a pass yet to Zay Flowers? No. But we are excited because we already see the talent that is there.
Okay.
We have seen, we have a whole 18-year career of Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Right? We saw Garrett Wilson, the offensive rookie of the year, with those quarterbacks.
Well, first of all, just because you're disagreeing with me doesn't mean you get to lie about me. You and I agreed on Odell Beckham Jr. in Baltimore earlier on First Take. We agreed on that. So what I'm saying is we had an agreement. We agreed that even though we both know him to be great, we threw out the same questions about Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Just because the show is over and we on YouTube don't mean that you get to ignore what I said. We agreed on that. You trying to act like we disagreed. That is not representing my position accurately, Miss Kimberley Martin.
I'm saying we are excited about what the Ravens can be.
Collectively.
Okay. Sir, we haven't seen this unit collectively on the field.
We've seen Bateman. We've seen Lamar Jackson. We've seen Andrews. We've seen
seen
them.
Garrett Wilson. We haven't seen Aaron Rodgers through 18 years of football. We haven't seen all
no,
that
I'm talking
body.
about we've seen these guys on the Ravens together.
We haven't seen this body of work to extrapolate.
We've seen these guys on defense. We've seen their defense, and we've seen half of their offense together.
What the potential of this Jets offense could be, we know what Aaron Rodgers is, right? That is my only point, that we haven't seen the Baltimore Ravens of this year take the field yet.
Well, my position was Tua and Tyreek Hill.
I understand that.
That's what I said.
For that.
I don't know why you brought up Baltimore.
Because here's the thing. I covered Ravens game. I covered Dolphins games last year.
Yeah.
How did they finish the season? How did they finish the season?
Yeah.
We do not know. We are literally hoping that Tua learning how to fall properly based on jiu-jitsu moves is the thing that will separate the Dolphins from the rest of the AFC East. That's what we are hoping for, that he does not suffer any more concussions and he is healthy.
We all said.
Oh, we're not going to do. We're not going to do on this show on YouTube.
We all said that. We took injuries into consideration. And we saying, omitting that for a second, looking strictly at talent. You look at Tua with Tyreek and think about this: 21 plays of 20-plus yards, tied with Hurts and Brown behind Cousins and Jefferson. Okay, this man, most 86% of the catches were for first downs. This is what we're talking about. 3 plays of 50-plus yards, tied for first with 3 others. I'm saying Tua with Tyreek Hill is absolutely electrifying. That doesn't throw shade on Garrett Wilson. It doesn't throw shade on Garrett Wilson. It's just saying Tyreek Hill is that dude.
All right, we got to leave it there. Thanks for watching, and be sure to watch First Take Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. on ESPN. And be sure to check out more exclusive First Take debates on YouTube.